What is chiropractic? Well, the general medical definition of chiropractic is an approach to healing through manipulation of the spine that can relieve pressure on the nerves and thereby alleviate illness and pain. But what I mean is, what is chiropractic as a whole? Taking into account the number of providers and patients treated, chiropractors are the second largest category of primary health care practitioners in the United States, just after medical doctors. It has made an undeniable impact on healthcare, but is often treated in poor taste and has created several competing worldviews within itself. To understand chiropractic, I must dive into its history, from the clinical conception by D.D. Palmer to the historic federal court case of Wilk versus American Medical Association in the 1980s, and shine a light on Florida licensed chiropractors to get a personal account on the methods and philosophies that drive them to create a positive impact in the healthcare community. I will then be able to use this knowledge to give myself a clearer understanding of how I want to make a positive impact. Who am I? My name is Paul Sorchy. I will be graduating from UCF with a bachelor's in integrative general studies, and am currently pursuing a career in chiropractic. This is my final project for class IDS 4939 that takes an interdisciplinary standpoint with several peer-reviewed sources to explore the history of chiropractic and why it matters to healthcare. Although my passion for chiropractic is rooted outside my general education program, there are several classes that helped me to cement my choice. When I took Issues and Trends in Public Health, or HSA 3012, one of the first assignments was a discussion post having us choose an object and explain its connection to public health, to which I chose a spinal model, as established by the spine. We were given the choice to do this assignment in video form, which influenced me to want to get more creative. Medical sociology, or SYO 4400, included a section in their textbook concerning chiropractic from an unbiased medical lens. It covered the differing theories from physicians and chiropractors, as well as the differing theories within chiropractic itself. It also included a section summarizing the history of chiropractic, which made me interested in diving deeper into this aspect. Also, because of my family connection to chiropractic, with my dad being a chiropractor and owning an office, this is a personally important subject for me. Although wanting to do what your parents do is not unusual, it was the philosophy behind chiropractic that made me want to pursue it. It is because of my first-hand experiences that I plan to attend a chiropractic college for my doctoral degree and work alongside my father at his office in the future.
Hello.
You want to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Dr. Paul Sorchy, and I am Claremont's chiropractor. I started practice in 1997, and I went into solo practice, and we bought and started the Claremont Chiropractic Life Center in 1998. So we're right at 25 years now.
There was an old janitor in the building where the father of B.J. Palmer had his office. He had been deaf for 18 years. He came to the Palmer office. The magnetic healer ran his fingertips along the patient's backbone. He felt a bump, as if one of the vertebrae had been displaced. He pressed on it. The bump disappeared. 3 days later, the janitor, Harvey Lillard, could hear as well as anyone. Chiropractic was born. Daniel David Palmer, or D.D. Palmer as he is more well known, is credited with conducting the first adjustment in Davenport, Iowa on September 18th, 1895. It was due to this new discovery of health treatments that he would publish his discovery to the scientific community as chiropractic, coming from the Greek words chiro and praktos, meaning done by the hands.
Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Haskin. I graduated from Palmer College of Chiropractic with my doctorate in chiropractic degree in September of 2012. And I've been working here at the Life Center since October of 2012. When chiropractic was first starting, there were a lot of different healthcare philosophies and theories and things like that. And chiropractic came about 1895. Dr. D.D. Palmer started to look into these different methods of healthcare, and he had this idea of nervous system interference. And because the nervous system comes from the brain stem goes down through the bones in the spine, these vertebrae, the bones can get out of alignment in the spine, and that puts pressure on the nervous system, and that causes an interference between the brain and the body. And so he had this idea of finding and correcting the bones back to where they need to be if they're out of alignment. That takes the pressure off the nervous system.
The first thing that every chiropractor should know is what we call the major premise. There is a universal intelligence in all matter, which continually gives to it all of its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence. When we understand that there's this universal intelligence that causes the body to be alive, there's an innate intelligence within the body that communicates from the brain through the spinal cord. So if you have a misalignment in a vertebra, putting pressure onto the nerve or the nervous system, that interrupts the flow between the brain and the tissue cell. That is called a subluxation when a vertebra misaligns. Chiropractors adjust subluxations.
So, when he published his findings, the health community labeled him a quack. To this day, chiropractors are not given any extension of professional status and are restricted to non-medical techniques due to the claims that it is based on inaccurate theories and lack of evidence to suggest it has any therapeutic value to patients beyond back, shoulder, and neck pain. However, instead of absorbing chiropractic into the field of medicine, the American Medical Association, or AMA, attempted to eradicate the entire profession by arresting chiropractors for practicing without a medical license.
They were accused of practicing medicine without a license. We were never practicing medicine, we were practicing chiropractic. And there was no licensure that the state recognized for chiropractic. We didn't owe them an explanation.
Through the 20th century, chiropractic soon became the fastest growing competitive health profession in the United States. After D.D. Palmer's death in 1913, his son B.J. Palmer became arguably the most influential figure in the history and development of chiropractic through the establishment of Palmer College, the first chiropractic college in the United States. Due in part to the fact that the GI Bill covered the tuition of chiropractic program for those returning from the war, the amount of chiropractic graduates grew and spread across America. Several states were officially recognizing the chiropractic profession and legalizing the licensure of chiropractors, thus allowing them to practice without fear of persecution in those states. It also opened the door to expand the scope of chiropractic, which resulted in an updated definition, and that went well. The present threat to chiropractic, as I see it, is cultural and not social. Since the 1900s, the AMA has attempted several methods to eradicate the chiropractic profession. Back before chiropractic was recognized by the U.S. Department of Education, they had been labeled as a cult, which I can understand. It is a health profession that denounces the use of prescription drugs in support of the major premise that, according to Dr. Joseph Chebetier, Jr. from the AMA, had not one shred of objective evidence. Two of my literary sources, The Glory of Going On and Life Without Fear, keep to the major premise, and the first chapter of The Glory of Going On compares B.J. Palmer to literal Jesus Christ. If I were looking at it from just this information, I can kind of comprehend why someone would think it was a cult. However, the difference here is that the AMA was classifying chiropractic from its early conception, and chiropractic is not a static profession. Over the decades, through improved education, passing legislation, and scientific discoveries of the human body, the techniques in spinal manipulation have evolved to the point that most chiropractors are now considered evidence-based musculoskeletal practitioners. The philosophy is the same, but the applications to them have developed into a validated career in health. By 1974, chiropractic was included in Medicare, successfully obtained licensure for all 50 U.S. states, and the Council of Chiropractic Education was officially recognized by the U.S. Department of Education. Also, not every chiropractor believes in the same methods. In fact, there are two distinct factions of philosophy: straights and mixers.
The term straight chiropractic, Dr. B.J. Palmer coined, and he says that straight chiropractic means that you're adjusting the subluxation and that's all that you do.
Well, there were a lot of chiropractors that started to learn this as the years went on, and they started mixing chiropractic, which was finding and correcting the vertebral subluxation, which is where the bones are out of alignment, and other modalities.
They might do electrical stim, they may do heat or ice ultrasound.
And they were doing this in an effort to help the patient.
Palmer was very much against this idea of mixing when he proclaimed, "No thank you. I do not mix. I give chiropractic straight. If it were mixed with all the methods offered, it would soon lose its identity." In all fairness, he wasn't wrong. There were two organizations, the International Chiropractors Association, or ICA, following straight philosophy, and National Chiropractic Association, NCA, following mixer philosophy. Both of them tried to update the definition and scope of chiropractic to follow their philosophy, but when neither could come to a conclusion, they discontinued their unification. Some of the members of the ICA even switched to the NCA, and reformed into the American Chiropractic Association in the 1960s. This lack of uniformity had caused confusion for its public identity as a profession. As Dr. John Hart examines, the professional identity of chiropractic does not properly address the interest and mission of the profession. He argues that being identified as a back pain specialist or a spine specialist is too generic and can be clumped with other medical practitioners, causing it to be overshadowed by larger professions that dominate the field.
A mixer is going to be somebody who maybe adjusts for subluxation but still uses other modalities to reduce the pain. But an unprincipled chiropractor is somebody who may not even adjust. They might just do modalities, therapies, nutrition, things to help the patient feel better or be healthy, but they're not actually removing the subluxation. So that's not a principled chiropractor. That's just a pure mixer.
When both sides were unified, they were able to represent the whole profession. However, now that they were competing factions with different ideologies, it polarized the public and made them less inclined to seek their services. It also allowed the AMA to use the infighting to their advantage.